Reverend Kathy Nichols found the Santa Cruz Religious Science Church in the 70s. Wow, 50 years ago plus. Her folks were attending at the time. She was so impressed by how they embraced all religions. The beautiful stained glass window had the Star of David, the cross, and the dove of peace. She immediately felt at home. Reverend Kathy started taking classes and learned so much about herself and her life. She became a practitioner and provided prayer and spiritual counsel to all who asked. Realizing she had found her passion, she went on to study at the Holmes Institute to become a minister. Taking ministerial classes while serving as an assistant to Reverend David Bruner of the San Jose Center. She graduated in 2000 and was ordained in 2003. So happy 20th anniversary, my dear. She started a teaching chapter in Brundale called Heart to Heart CSL. She officiates weddings, memorials, baby blessings, anniversary celebrations, and is available to do speaking. So we are so honored to have her today as our guest speaker. Well, Robert is having a wonderful time out vacation and playing. So please give a warm welcome to Reverend Kathy Nichols.
Oh, it just felt so good to walk in the doors here. Oop, I gotta turn the microphone on. We never had tech. At the Heart to Heart Center for Spiritual Living, I always was a little nervous speaking in public. I've been trying to get over that since I went to ministerial school, of all things. And I just would sit in a rocking chair at our Grange Hall and give my message. And I felt so comfortable that way. And my congregation, the chair was missing one Sunday. And it came back as a gift, all redone, all refinished, with a beautiful little heart on it, dedicated to me. And it was like, oh, this philosophy just brings out the best in people. You know, we're right there for one another. And this church means so much to me because we used to come here as groups from Carmel, Reverend Alicia Parker, and Edward Collar, and he did his ordination down here in your under part here. We had beautiful services, and we would just gather together and be a bigger group, which was so wonderful to just share in the classes. I took classes here with Vera and just different things that we experienced together. So this is just so beautiful to feel it again, those memories. And it's Memorial Day. And a lot of those people have gone on. And we know that each person has a gift that they bring. Each person has a light within them. And this, of all things, when this said lights, camera, action, I went, oh my gosh, is this talking to me or what? Because I haven't been doing speaking. I have had people, you know, one-on-one, but and that's where I do feel most comfortable. And I know that it's good for me to get beyond that. It's time. Geez, no kid anymore. And it's time to step out. And I got to meet so many of you. Christy was our congregant. And just so put herself in 100% at Heart to Heart. And then when Georgia called me and told me about the memorial at Irene's, I just was so glad that I was able to speak to Irene, and because she was with her at the end. And I had seen her in between times, but it was just so nice to know that it went so well, because I saw her in some of the big struggles. And it just was such a nice release to know that we really could release her, because what a doll, what a doll. And she just would always give 100%. Right to the end, when I visited her there at the nursing home, she was just amazing, absolutely amazing. And we know that she went through a lot. And to keep that sparkle in her eyes was amazing. And when we got together, I sat next to Reverend Robert, and he says, "Do you ever do guest speaking?" And and I said, "Yes." Like, get over it. Get over it. Just say yes. And I'm going to tell you a little story about, I came here Mother's Day to see how to do all this. And I usually go to Zoom with our Gavilan Hills Unity Church. And I enjoyed myself, and you were all so kind. And I thought, oh, I'm going to be just great, be here, it's comfortable. And my kids were at a big wedding in Napa, and I went home kind of quickly and didn't drink water, didn't eat well. They got it there to show up to do a nice Mother's Day dinner for me, and I had a real bad stomachache. And they were doing dinner, for the kids were in the kitchen. I thought, I'm going to sit right here and listen to them, and they were chopping and cooking and having fun together. One is 20 and the other 23. They're the loves of my life, Lauren and Lawson. And then my daughter and her husband came in, and they went, "Grandma's not feeling good." And I had gone to sleep in the chair. And all of a sudden, they wake me up. "How are you?" And I couldn't answer their questions. They were asking me I didn't know it was Mother's Day. I didn't know that I was going back to my cat that they had when I was a kid, and they go, get in the car, and away we went to Chomp. And by the time I got in the car, I was coming around, but I knew I needed to go. And so my granddaughter, she insisted on going too. I said, "You might be here a long time once they grab you at the hospital." And I thought, how nice to be supported, with the care. I didn't want to go, but they care. And they ran me through everything. I got the complete, when you take a car in, but, brain scans, this, that, the other, blood, blah, blah, blah. And I was there about 4 hours, which is pretty good on a hospital visit. And the doctor came in and he says, we can't find anything wrong with her. And my daughter kept saying, "Mom, you were so quiet." I said, "Well, I was praying." And I wanted to be home in my own bed. And, I didn't want to say anything wrong because my brain I had been rebooted, like we have to pull out the plug sometimes. And we had Mother's Day dinner at In-N-Out Burger at 11 o'clock. And then my daughter spent the night there. She wanted to be sure I was fine. And the next day, we had the most beautiful, beautiful Mother's Day. Everything was already prepared. The kids had done well. And, everybody kept back, "Are you all right? Are you all right?" "Yes, I'm fine. I am fine. Would you please see me as fine too? I need a little support system here. I will go to all the doctors they've lined me up for, which I've done, and I checked out really good." So that was wonderful. And then the word got out, and everybody came and did stuff for me. I didn't have to cook one meal that week. I got chicken soup. I got, every caring thing that anybody could. I said, whoa, I feel like a diva. Just so amazing what family and friends did for me. Just right surrounded me with absolute love. And I know that, it's a real gift when we can be there for people. And I know you all were there for Christy, and I really appreciate that. We need each other. We are community. And when things get a little tight like that, things like that happen, and it's nice to know that you have a little support system behind you. And I didn't reach out probably, but they all reached out for me, which was wonderful. And I was able to receive, that's half the battle too, being able to receive it. And, and last night of all things, I have a little positive power group on Thursday nights, power circles, and they got tickets to Joe Chirino in Morgan Hill, the Mushroom Mardi Gras or whatever. We were all dancing, and we looked at the crowd, and the average age was probably 60 and 70. Everybody was dancing, having a ball, and Mary said to me, do you see some of them are holding each other up? And I thought, yeah, that is so cool. That is so cool. And, I thought, Reverend Robert, I called him, just to, and he says, just have fun. They're going to love you. I said, I'm getting nervous. He said, just have a good time. And he had just come in so excited. He had gotten his certificate with the Monterey Police Department. And he had taken all the classes, and you could just hear the joy of, and I thought, oh, you guys got a jewel. He's just right, and it was just nice connection because I know better, but I'm stewing. And I know better, but we do that. And the first time I ever walked in the Religious Science Church in Santa Cruz, they had little sayings on the table that you could pick up. And I picked up one that said, I am a place where God shines through. God and I are one, not two. God needs me where and as I am. I never worry, fret, nor plan. If I'm relaxed and free, God will carry out his perfect plan through me. That has been in my head for 50 years. It's my little go-to. And I made little ones for you if you want them. And I think of us Memorial Day, we had a wonderful member, Joe, and he was a Marine, and he would carve beautiful rock carvings. And he did hearts for the church with a heart in the center, and it was out of rock. And he gave it to me as a gift. And Joe Real, the Marine, couldn't hear too well. He was always mad that I didn't speak louder, so I went and got a little microphone for Joe. And when he passed, we had the whole Marine ceremony at the Grange Hall, the color, the this, the that. And in his wallet was that little saying. He'd carried it for years, his wife said. He had just loved that saying. And I thought, oh, my tough little Marine is a place where God shines through. I thought of him today on this Memorial Day. So many of us, have fought and given lives for our freedom, and we are free. We are free. We're free to worship where we want or not. Nature can be where our best place is. And, life isn't easy for a lot of us, but we're here for one another. And just to remember that and keep our hearts open, because that's the only thing that matters, is love and light. And I know with this saying yes to giving the talk, I had to look at a lot of my shadows. Why am I so hard on myself? And not believe that I can give a talk. You know, it's time to say, okay, little darling, you can do this. You can do this. Let go. Let God. When I was in ministerial school, we had a wonderful minister, Reverend E. She was Robert's mentor in Oakland. And we had to meet at somewhere in the middle of downtown Oakland in an upstairs office building for one of our classes. And everybody got lost. They were all upset when they got there. 15 angry women. Why are we doing this? And this was scary and blah, 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 blah. Reverend E went, well, just get over it. And that was our motto for our class. Just get over it. Sit in your seat and let's learn. And, you know, that's what I think I did this week. I think I just got over it. Thank you, Irene. And I just appreciate being asked, you know, to be here. I have lots of little notes, but I was really impressed, Irene, with what you did for Christy and your yard and how many people showed up. It was just amazing. You know, it was like a real celebration. Beautiful food and friendship and getting to know each other. I had never really met Reverend Robert until then. And we shared in the service that we did. And it felt just right, just right. And that's how things go. When you can get, like Ernest Holmes says, when you get your bloated nothingness out of the way. And I was trying to get in my way a lot this week. And I know that it was good for me to do this. So I feel very honored to be here. I had a few other things I was going to talk about, but maybe someday I'll come back and do some others. My grandson and granddaughter have been helping me make my little yard pretty real close to me so I can see the flowers. And my grandson's doing it almost like a flower arrangements, and he's never gardened before. And Irene, I said, we might come get some of your flowers. She said, well, wait till February. You know, she said we could, but they won't grow now. You got to do it at a different time. Well, he wasn't going to wait for anything. And he was putting them in, and they're making it. But he says, Grandma, I talked to them. I moved them if they didn't like where they were. I put more soil under them. And they were even wildflowers that he had found around on his walks. And he said, he was coaching me on what to say as he's driving to Oregon. He says, Grandma, your symbol, that's about the seed, the soil, and the plant. I thought he hadn't paid attention, you know? And he said, that's what you need to talk about, that it's what you're gonna plant. And don't dig it up. Just see what comes up. And if there's weeds, pull them out. Just pull them out and get ready for the flower. And I think that's all what we need to do, is be kinder to ourselves and take some of those weeds out, prune it if we need to, and just know that it's all in divine order, in spite of ourselves. We have to just step in and do it and get over it. So thank you for letting me do that here. I appreciate it. And I had written something by Ralph Waldo Emerson. I loved what it was Cindy that said too for Memorial Day, that most of the shadows of this life are caused by standing in one's own sunshine. And isn't that the truth? You know, and the shadows are okay, but it's okay to let our light come out from under the bushel and enjoy each other. And I'm glad you're all here on this Memorial Day, and I think the sun's coming out for a nice, beautiful day. So, and then I know it's Pride Week, and my grandson came out to me, and he's just such an artist and so beautiful. And I picked this quote: when all Americans are treated as equal, no matter who they are or whom they love, we are all more free. Barack Obama. So that's how I'm going to complete my talk, and I enjoyed being here and stepping beyond where I thought I could. Amen. And this little bag has the sayings in here. And thank you all. I don't know, do I do something else? Sit down? Okay. Okay, so it's Denise's turn. Should I lay these on the table or shall we pass them around?
Let's put them on the table and
Okay.
people can join during social hour and take one home.
Okay, thank you, dear.
You're welcome. So let me help.
Okay. No accidents. Stay on my feet.
Thank you, Reverend Kathy. That was beautiful. So, you know, the topic for today's talk was lights, camera, action, and you came and gave your talk. So I know Spirit is alive in each of us in our own unique way. And I want to remind everyone, as we say a very brief prayer to cement this talk in place, that each of you are a beautiful beacon of light of God stuff. Whatever your unique gifts, talents, personality is, you've been blessed. You've been blessed by the divine. So I want to say, to seal this beautiful talk of Reverend Kathy's, that there is just this amazing, dynamic, creative life force. Call it whatever you want. It is life itself and love. So we bless our time together and go through the remainder of this service appreciating the inspiration of this philosophy, for it uplifts the planet, creates a consciousness of peace and compassion, and this caring community makes a difference. And so it is. So at this time, one of our, I think, super high practices, spiritual practices, besides journaling, meditation, and prayer, is sharing in circulation our abundance, our many blessings, for we are blessed in many ways. So would you please join with me in saying our abundance affirmation? I recognize the presence of God within as the source of my abundance. Out of my abundance consciousness flows everything I could desire in life. With gratitude and thanksgiving, I now participate in the flow of uninterrupted abundance. This prosperous experience is evidence of my abundance consciousness. And there are many ways that you can give to this spiritual community through good old-fashioned checks by mail at our Franklin Street address in Monterey. You can text to give with the phone number on the screen. And of course, you can always go to our website, montereycsl.org, and press the donate button. So there's many options. And for those in the sanctuary, we do have an offering box on the sanctuary, on the glass table in the rear of the sanctuary. So one of the things that I think church is all about, or church family is about community. All the different ways we join together and celebrate this teaching, this basic philosophy of living life out loud, fully, authentically, fearlessly, and boldly, just the way you are. Since God didn't create junk, we are definitely perfect all the time. And as Reverend Kathy says, one of the things to be grateful for is the fact that we can have challenges come at us and see them as blessings, as reminders to love ourselves more, to exercise extreme self-care, and that it is not a bad thing. For who else is living in that body but you? So thank you for that wake-up call and reminder. Drink water. Hydrate. The lesson for this Sunday, right? Few announcements and reminders. We have Saturday visioning for our center on Zoom at 10:30 in the morning. It lasts no more than about 30 minutes. We have been visioning since before we hired Reverend Robert, so it's been over 3 years now that we have weekly vision for our community. And that is why we are still here, thriving. We owe no debt, and we are a fierce, bold, talented, committed community, and growing. Next month is June. There will be Third Sunday Soul Collage. I know it's Father's Day, so whoever shows up, and if nobody shows up, we just keep on celebrating Father's Day. But I decided, you know, if this is a monthly recurring group on the third Sunday, then we need to consistently keep with the offering. Save the date for the Asilomar Summer Retreat. It is in August, I believe the 5th or 8th. I don't know, I just registered the 8th. So it's like we're coming back home to Asilomar. You know, for decades, we met every summer at Asilomar as an organization worldwide. And then we shifted into moving around the country, the world. Well, we're back at Asilomar this year. So all the locals, please show up. We need volunteers at the center. If you in any way have any special gift or talent or calling, consider talking to one of the board members and finding out more about the ways you can serve. It's in service that your heart grows bigger and better and more connected in this community. For it's like everything else in this law of circulation. The more you give, the more you receive. And it comes back to you multiplied in amazing ways. So consider it. Gardening, maybe hospitality, greeting. There are just so many different ways that this community needs you and needs your love. And we give it not with just our pocketbook, but with our heart, our minds, and our talent, whatever that may be. Are we still doing First Sunday crafts, Amber? No? Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah, we'll work on that one. The creative designer in the sky. We're trying to have a regular schedule, first Sunday, second Sunday, that we can count on every time when we gather. So no, on Soul Collage Sunday, I always bring lunch. And the fourth Sunday of the month, which is today, we are doing Spiritual Discussion Circle, talking about the topic, the shadow side, which is the featured topic for the Science of Mind magazine. There is lunch for everyone, and feel free to grab a plate and join us, and we will have a free flow discussion about the shadow, which is always an intriguing topic because we tend not to talk about that part. But I think that, you know, if we're going to really get some cosmic light going here, we need to discuss the shadow openly because we all got one. And you know what? It's a lovely part of us too. So we know the light because we got a shadow. And I think in Peter Pan, didn't they have a shadow that was following them around? Well, think about what the story would be like of Peter Pan without the shadow. Wouldn't be any fun. The bookstore will be open till noon today. Please browse at your leisure. We have a sales section. We have lots of goodies, great gifts. and a whole section of Metaphysical Holmes writings. So if you're intrigued or haven't bought a metaphysical book lately, check out the bookstore. So at this time, I will say bye-bye to our virtual YouTube, Facebook audience, telling them a fond farewell, come back next week, or view us asynchronously when your heart opens up and you need to do an extra Sunday service during the week. We'll be here. And next week's talk for the June theme of embracing self-care is evolution of self-care. Should be an intriguing subject. Remember to like, comment, and share our digital footprint with those that you care about, because this teaching is an amazing revelation.